Do I look good? Hi, everyone. Thank you for coming. We are gathered here today because I know everything one needs to know about being a man, about being muy macho. And I know you're looking at me kind of funny. I see it. I like, she's 5'2". What does this Latina have to say? But like most Latinas, I actually have a lot to say. My name is Melissa Carcamo, and thank you for coming to my TED Talk. I am the proud daughter of 2 Nicaraguan parents, and I was born and raised in Miami, Florida. So needless to say, I had a very Hispanic upbringing. But if there's one thing about my culture, is that it really encourages and values hyper-masculinity. So as a Latina, it wasn't hard for me to begin identifying what traits defined a man. It was things like avoiding anything feminine, restricting emotionally, seeking achievement and status, frankly being homophobic, and having a detached and rigid sexuality. But I was curious to find out, why are we like this? And I was not surprised to find out that we can trace this back to colonization. I don't want to get super lectury on you guys, but if we're to understand why we are the way that we are now, we have to take a trip back in time. And you see, in early societies, there was always gender and gender roles, but that strict binary and oppression that we have in place today, that came with La Niña, La Pinta, y La Santa Maria. So as a feminist, I could understand that this was traced to colonization, and I saw that when the Spanish essentially invaded Latin America, they brought with them their strict, muy macho patriarchal roles. And our early ancestors had to adopt and adapt these roles for the sake of survival. So then, as a feminist and as a Latina, I saw what it was to be a man, but I realized that wasn't fair. And if my advocacy is for gender equality, that inherently includes men. That includes you. Dare I say, my feminism is pro-men. I said that with a straight face. So feminist theory showed me that the patriarchy and its strict gender roles, it violates, abuses, and rapes trans, non-binary people, women, but it fundamentally robs men of the full human experience. What does that mean? They look fine. I know, I get it. But if we're really to take a look at childhood, and in particular boyhood, we can see that boys are never allowed to be boys. And although the saying is, boys will be boys, that's only ever used in a context when a boy is harassing someone. But other than that, we control what shows they watch, what music they listen to, what colors they wear, what Power Rangers they can play with. We begin to break down the individual identity of this boy for the sake of creating a man. Not an adult, not a person, not a human, a man. And then we create these families that are absent in love, particularly fatherly love. And homes that lack love enable a cycle of harm that is a generational trauma that we are still dealing with from our ancestors. Think about it. ¿Cuántos padres no tienen relaciones con su hijo? ¿Cuántos hermanos no se hablan? ¿Cuántas madres sufren a la mano del abuso doméstico solamente porque no le enseñamos a los varones lo más básico de ser humano? Cómo comunicar y cómo querer. I repeat, how many fathers don't have relationships with their sons? How many brothers don't speak to each other? How many mothers suffer at the hands of domestic abuse only because we couldn't show boys the most basic human skills of how to communicate and how to be loving? We're human. We're social creatures. And if we don't find these things at home, we're bound to seek for these things elsewhere. And this is where we can see the importance of male friendships start taking place. Male friendships provide a source of validation that one is man enough. And it also provides a sense of brotherhood and solidarity. But what I find interesting about these friendships is that they're rarely places where guys can just be open and vulnerable with each other. And part of being human and experiencing all parts of life is having loving and fulfilling friendships. So let's go to adolescence. By this point, boys have gone through pain, but we told them that they couldn't feel it. We traumatized generations of boys, and we didn't let them speak on it. I know that not only girls get depressed and not only girls get sexually assaulted. I know that happens to boys too. But we don't let them talk about it. And I know that mental health is more than just depression. It's eating disorders, it's body image issues, it's PTSD. It's all these things that we never let guys claim. We always just assume that they can handle more pain or that they don't need as much support. But if we are to heal our communities, we need to understand that men's mental health matters. So recap. We broke down the individual identity of this boy. To create a man, we put him in a home that deprived him of love and nurturing, so they had to seek it elsewhere. Then we traumatized them and invalidated their pain. Good. So anyway, and then we get to adulthood, and it's a man. And now, not only did we police their whole upbringing, but now we police their sexuality. We don't let guys explore their sexuality outside of the hetero norm. And this might be groundbreaking, but bi men exist. And not only do they exist, but we don't let men explore their sexuality outside of the hetero norm. We give them two boxes. You're either gay or you're straight. And if you're straight, you constantly have to prove just how straight you are. So all in all, we only gave boys one blueprint on how to become a man. And we did that sacrificing their individual identity to create this man. We committed all these acts of full-blown soul murder to create a man. And then we have the audacity to ask, why are men so cold? It's not biology, it's society. And if we are to heal our community from our ancestors' wounds, we need to create and adopt a new feminist manhood. Now, I know that might be a big and probably if you try to Google it, you wouldn't find anything on it. It's essentially a blank canvas. But I would argue that although that might sound disappointing, a blank canvas is what's working in our favor. We are the generations with the ability to draw out what a new feminist manhood might look like. And I don't want to put it in a box or give you a concrete definition because it would be a disservice to everything we just talked about. Yourself and show yourself some self-care and love. Thank you. And then when you've been able to show yourself love, extend that empathy onto others. Because only when we create a more loving society do we end the cycle of harm. And the cycle of harm doesn't end when you cut off your dad or your brother or that friend. The cycle of harm ends when we all stop harming. Number 2, put yourself before the gender role. Who were you before you had to prove that you were a man? Do some soul searching, and when you find it, nourish it and express it and love it. I know they've been waiting for you. And 3, and I really wish I was Oprah for this one, so I could be like, look under your seat, but it's a TED Talk. So if I had to give you a last words, it's to start with a book. For me, feminist theory changed my life. Bell Hooks inspired this speech. But any book would really do, and it's part of the journey. And I plead with you guys that I don't want you to be a feminist because you love your mom, because you have a sister, because you love your girlfriend. Be a feminist because you deserve to be advocated for. You deserve to experience all parts of life, even if that's sadness, happiness, trauma, and healing. You deserve these things solely because you are human. And my final words are to my Latinos, my muy macho Hispanic men. No dejes que el machismo te quite la vida. Feminism doesn't kill, but toxic masculinity kills every day. Thank you.